Right guys, Shay here, Uneven Bounce. Hope you guys are well. So, I've been toying about whether to do this video or not. And I decided that I would, to be honest with you. It's about Makhaya Ntini, as you can see from the description. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but you know, I watched his interview 3 times, or maybe 4 times now. It's heartbreaking, isn't it, really, to see you know, a champion bowler like that just get treated in such a manner. To be honest with you, I find it hard to believe that what was going on in the South African camp. And it makes me think, you know, like, what was going on during this period. I mean, he played for the team for, what, 11 years in total, from 98 to... from 20 to 2011. I think, to be honest with you, when he said all the stuff about being... Sorry, just to give some background. Basically, if you don't know the story, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, Makhaya Ntini basically came out last week on SABC News, I'm not sure, a South African channel, and during an interview, I think it was a Zoom interview, and he was saying that, he said basically that he was just completely isolated, not pun intended considering the situation at the moment, but completely isolated from his teammates and ostracised from his teammates. They completely ignored him in terms of anything off the field. You know, the only way he would kind of interact with his teammates was in the nets and on the pitch. You know, when he was batting or bowling, you know, with them. And you know, it's disgusting, to be honest with you, and it just shows what kind of state CSA and South African cricket was in, and it continues to be in, but it's obviously not as bad now in terms of, you know, the racial issues that were occurring in the team obviously at the time, because that's what it is. He's not from their background. He was obviously the first black African to play for South Africa, and because obviously, you know, the history and everything else, I mean, a lot of those players, especially at the end of their careers, I think the players that he played with at the end of their careers and the start of his, like Gary Kirsten, Darrell Cullinan, even Hanti Cronje for a couple of years, Alan Donald, Lars Klusener, you know, these guys, I'm not condoning at all, you know, the behaviour, but at the same time, I can understand it a tiny bit more because of their background and how they've kind of been brought up. Please do not get this twisted, people. This is not me condoning what he was subjected to at all. If you know me, anything about me, you'll know that's the truth. I'm just saying, I understand a little bit more with those guys. A tiny smidgen more, you know, like... maybe how they would have treated him at the beginning, why they would treat him that way. But then, obviously, people he spent the bulk of his career with, Graham Smith, Mark Boucher, A.B. de Villiers, Jock Callis, you know, these guys, you know, Herschel Gibbs, Boats Dippenaar, you know, these guys, Dippenaar we know, I mean, it's a whole new thing, isn't it, really? We know why he probably treats him that way, but then you go to the new players, though. The newer players, you know, towards the back end of the team's career. You know, Dale Steyn, A.B. de Villiers, Morny Morkel. Really, would they have treated him that way? The thing is, during the interview, he didn't mention anyone of being, oh, but that was actually okay, I had better times, you know, later in my career. No, I mean, I think about, like, he was, like, the best bowler between like 06 and 08. I think he's actually voted most popular sportsman actually in South Africa. I think 2006-07, I think that period. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I'm pretty sure it's that 2 year period. You know, and it wasn't because of, oh, look at this, you know, black cricketers come through. It's a great story, isn't it? No, he performed wonderfully well. Look at his stats: 101 Test matches, 390 wickets at 29, just under 29. But his ODI average, I think he took, I I don't know how many wickets, but he took him at 20 under 25. Give me 1 second. Actually, I actually had this available. 173 ODIs, 266 wickets at under 25, 24.65. This guy was a champion bowler. He'd run through brick walls for you. He was built like an ox, fit as a fiddle, and he would run in all day. But the way they embraced him, I saw like some celebrations in games that he played, like when he took a few wickets in the Australia tour 08-09 when South Africa won. Really is part of their rise to the top under Graham Smith that period. And the way they embraced Makhaya and Ntini, you wouldn't have thought that was going on. But the story about him, running to the hotel and back, from hotel to the ground, then from the ground to the hotel, because they didn't want to face people on the bus, that is just heart-wrenching. It's just horrible. We've all been in these situations. Maybe you haven't, but it happens all the time. It's just basically a form of bullying. And it's just cruel. It's just that simple. Whether you're in a working environment, it's any kind of environment you could be in terms of, like I said, your adult life. As kids, that's something completely different. But we've always had times, I think, throughout our lives, everyone has had that feeling, where you just feel left out. It's not nice. But imagine you're part of a team sport, and for over 10 years you have to kind of live through this. Just stop and think about that for a minute. I was going to say a second then, but you need to reflect for a lot longer than a second, and a lot longer than a minute, to be honest with you. What happened there is disgusting. It's a travesty, and it's a massive blotch on South African cricket. And it took this whole BLM movement and what's come out in South African cricket recently for Ntini to talk about it. He might have bottled it up forever. And the thing is, I'm so glad he didn't, because we know what South African cricket was going through and where it's come from. So don't tell me anyone's thinking that South African cricket is hunky-dory. It's not, because that's the place it's come from. That's how they treated players who are not part of the normal setup, from a certain background. And things are moving across now, things are moving along better, but as we've seen in the last few weeks, CSA once again has been dragged through the mud. It's been terrible for them. And they have to make changes. And I don't want to make this video about the BLM movement and all this, because that's a whole separate topic. I just want to talk about Ntini, a guy who has done everything for his country, and he still walks around with a smile on his face. That's what I think. I heard him commentating on Saturday, at 3TC tournament, and he's just laughing and he's jovial and he's happy. But he's gone through all this. What a man! What an incredible character. It doesn't matter what your background is. You've got to see that. Imagine that you were ostracised from the team because of your background. That's almost certainly the reason why he was. Almost certain that it is. What else can it be? Let's be honest. This way. Let's call it what it is, guys. Uneven bounce. That's what I'm called. That's what the channel's about. Call it as it is. Black and white. It is what it is, unfortunately, and that's. Yeah, I'm trying to be understanding to a certain extent, but I just can't help but just be quite emotional about this subject, to be honest with you, because I think what that man's gone through, and I think it is absolutely horrible, and it's just cruel, so yeah, not cool at all. But CSA, you need to really just understand that. I just shocked because I think some of the players that are there that played with him in his last part of his career. I mean, Jack Callis, another guy who played with him his entire career. I can go back to Jack Callis for a while, but I think, I can certainly believe he wasn't exactly the team's best mate. But, I just think like Dale Steyn, I just can't see how Dale Steyn wants just to embrace the guy like anyone else, But I obviously don't know the guy, so I don't know. It's just odd. It's odd. I mean, how could you not? You've got to play there. I don't know how you could embrace a guy on the field like the way they did, countless times, and they completely shun him off the field. I just know what's going through those people's heads. And I want to believe that it wasn't exactly all like that, that it wasn't just complete one-way traffic. And there was some people who did good, you know, there was people who entertained him and socialised with him and went out with him, etc. I want to believe that. I just got shocked that there was not one mention even at the end of the interview about that. It was just like, you know, everyone just blanked me basically, and I was incredibly lonely. People making plans in front of my face. I mean, these are grown men doing that. Don't you think? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm not gonna go any more about this. I'm just very very upset when I watched that, and I watched it again recently, and I'm still upset. You know, so anyway. Guys, if you like the content, if you enjoyed this video, say enjoy, you know, quote unquote, but if you found it useful, if you have comments, you know, I appreciate I might not get the nicest, most positive comments in this video, but it's fine. Whatever you guys think, just, you can say it, no problem. What do you guys think, you know? Let me know your thoughts. Again, like the video, share it, and also subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.